Hi guys, this is IGCSE O-Level Chemistry, paper 22, November 2017, question 11. The equation for the combustion of methane is shown. The energy change for the combustion of methane is minus 890 kilojoules per mole. The bond energies are shown in the table. What is the bond energy of the C double bond O bond? Okay, so the bonds that will be broken during this reaction would be 4 C single bond H bonds and two O double bond O bonds. And the bonds that will form are two C double bond O bonds and four O single bond H bonds. So the energy is required to break the bonds. So this would be 4 into 410 plus 2 into 496. And the energy that will be released when bonds are formed would be 2 into x for the CO bond plus 4 into 460 for the OH bonds. So now we total the energy that is required to break the bond, and that is equal to 2632, which is 4 into 410 plus 2 into 496. And then we subtract 2x and we subtract 4 into 460, which is equal to 1840. And all of this is equal to minus 890 as given in the question itself. So 2632 minus 1840 becomes 792 minus 2x equals minus 890. So minus 2x equals minus 890 minus 792, and this is equal to minus 1682. So in order to solve for x, we have minus 1682 divided by minus 2. So minus and minus gets cancelled, and 1682 divided by 2 gives us a value of 841. And since the minus signs have been cancelled, this will be a positive value, and the unit for this value would be kilojoules per mole. So this would make option B the correct option for this question. Question 12. Which statement describes an exothermic reaction? The energy absorbed for bond breaking is greater than the energy released by bond formation. So this would describe an endothermic reaction, not an exothermic reaction. Next, the energy absorbed for bond breaking is less than the energy released for bond formation. Yes, this is what is describing an exothermic reaction. Next, the energy released by bond breaking, energy is not released, it is absorbed, is greater than the energy absorbed for bond breaking, energy is released by bond formation. Next, the energy released by bond breaking, no energy is absorbed, is less than the energy absorbed by bond formation, no energy is released by bond formation. So this makes option B the correct option for this question. Question 13. The mass of a beaker and its contents is plotted against time. Which graph represents what happens when sodium carbonate reacts with an excess of dilute hydrochloric acid in an open beaker? So since the beaker is open, we would have loss of carbon dioxide gas, so the mass would start to decrease. So this eliminates options A and B because it does not show a decrease in mass. It also eliminates option C because it shows the mass reaching 0, which is not possible because the beaker and its contents, after all of the CO2 has been removed, will still have some mass left. So that makes option B the correct option for this question. Question 14. Copper metal donates electrons to silver ions. That means it reduces silver. Zinc metal donates electrons to copper ions. That means zinc reduces copper. So that makes zinc more reactive than copper, which is more reactive than silver. Okay. What is the strongest reducing agent? So zinc reduces copper ions to copper, and it also reduces silver ions to silver, whereas copper reduces silver ions to silver but does not reduce zinc ions to zinc. So the strongest reducing agent in this case would be zinc. So the options are copper ions, copper metal, silver ions, and zinc metal. So the correct option for this question is option D. Since zinc metal is the most reactive, it would be the strongest reducing agent. Question 15. Four statements about the effect of increasing temperature on a reaction are shown. The activation energy becomes lower. Okay, an increase in temperature does not affect the value of activation energy at all. So this statement is incorrect. The particles move faster, yes, because the particles would gain kinetic energy and would move more quickly, would collide more quickly as well. There are more collisions between reacting particles, yes, that is what we just discussed. There are more collisions which have energy greater than the activation energy. This is correct as well, because when particles gain energy, the number of particles that have energy equal to or greater than the activation energy have also increased. So the question is, which statements are correct? Since statements 2, 3, and 4 are correct, option C is the correct option for this question. The formation of sulfur trioxide from sulfur dioxide is a reversible reaction. The forward reaction is exothermic. Which change would increase the equilibrium yield of SO3? Increasing the pressure. An increase in pressure favors the side with the lesser number of moles. In this equation, the number of moles of reactants are 3 and the number of moles of products are 2. So an increase in pressure will favor the forward reaction, thereby increasing the yield of SO3. So this is correct. Lowering the temperature. Decrease in temperature favors the exothermic side of the reaction. Since the question itself states that the forward reaction is exothermic, lowering the temperature will favor the forward reaction, increasing the equilibrium yield of SO3. So this is correct as well. And decreasing the concentration of oxygen. When we decrease the concentration of the reactants, the equilibrium will shift towards the left in order to restore the concentration of the reactant. So thereby the concentration of SO3 would decrease, which means that the equilibrium yield of SO3 would be less. So this change is incorrect. So since the changes 1 and 2 are correct only, option B is the correct option for this question. Question 17. Some properties of four oxides are listed. Oxide 1 reacts with both acids and alkalis to form salt. That means oxide 1 is amphoteric. Oxide 2 reacts with acids to form salts but does not react with alkali. Since it is reacting with acid, it has to be basic in nature. Oxide 3 reacts with alkalis to form salts but does not react with acids. Since it is reacting with alkalis, it has to be acidic in nature. And oxide 4 does not react with acids or alkalis. So this oxide is a neutral oxide. Which row describes the oxide? So oxide 1 is amphoteric, eliminating options C and D. Oxide 2 is basic, eliminating option A. Oxide 3 is acidic and oxide 4 is neutral, making option B the correct option for this question. Question 18. What is not a typical characteristic of acids? They react with alkalis producing water. Yes, it is very much the characteristic of acids. They react with all metals producing hydrogen. This term, all metals, is incorrect here because they would only react with metals that are more reactive than hydrogen. They will not react with metals that are less reactive than hydrogen. So it is not true that they react with all metals. They react with carbonates producing carbon dioxide. Yes, they would react with carbonates producing carbon dioxide, water, and salt. They turn blue litmus red. Yes, that is an identifying feature of acids. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option B. Question 19. Copper 2 sulfate can be prepared by adding excess copper 2 carbonate to sulfuric acid. Why is an excess of copper 2 carbonate added? So an excess of copper 2 carbonate is added so that all of the sulfuric acid present had reacted. So to ensure all copper 2 carbonate had reacted, it is in excess. You cannot ensure that all of it has reacted. to ensure all sulfuric acid has reacted? Yes, sulfuric acid is the limiting reactant in this reaction. To increase the rate of reaction, this has no effect on the rate of reaction. To increase the yield of copper to sulfate, the amount of copper to sulfate formed would depend on the amount of sulfuric acid present, since it is the limiting reactant. Increasing the quantity of copper to carbonate does not increase the yield of copper to sulfate at all. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option B. Question 20. Compound P reacts with hydrochloric acid to produce a gas that turns lime water milky. So the gas that is produced is carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is produced on reaction of an acid with a carbonate. So what is P? Sodium carbonate. Since carbonate is present here, this could be the answer. Sodium chloride, no. Sodium hydroxide, no. And sodium sulfate, no. Since only option A contains the presence of carbonate, which would produce carbon dioxide, option A is the correct option for this question.